The sky turned an apocalyptic orange, a haunting hue that signaled the beginning of a nightmare for the residents of Los Angeles. Smoke billowed into the heavens, a grim curtain drawn across the Los Angeles basin. It was as if the city was being swallowed by a monstrous beast, its breath choking the life out of everything in its path. From the Hollywood Hills to the Pacific Palisades, a firestorm raged, consuming homes, businesses, and dreams with terrifying speed. The flames showed no mercy, reducing everything in their path to ash and rubble. Driven by relentless Santa Ana winds, the flames leaped across freeways, devoured entire neighborhoods, and turned the familiar landscape into a scene from a disaster movie. The winds, notorious for their ferocity, seemed to conspire with the fire, pushing it further and faster than anyone could have anticipated. The air crackled with heat, the ground littered with burning embers. Each step taken by the brave firefighters was fraught with danger, as the very earth beneath them seemed to be alive with the fire's insatiable hunger. Sirens wailed, a constant reminder of the danger that lurked on the horizon. Emergency vehicles raced through the streets, their lights cutting through the thick smoke, a beacon of hope in an otherwise bleak landscape. The smell of smoke, acrid and choking, permeated everything, a grim testament to the destruction unfolding around us. It clung to clothes, hair, and skin, a constant reminder of the peril that surrounded us. Fear gripped the city, a palpable presence that settled over the once vibrant metropolis like a shroud. Streets that were once bustling with life now lay empty, the residents having fled or taken refuge indoors, praying for the inferno to pass. This was not the first time fire had visited this city, but the scale and ferocity of this latest inferno seemed unprecedented. Historical records showed many wildfires, but none had ever threatened the heart of Los Angeles with such relentless intensity. The very air seemed to crackle with a dangerous energy, a volatile mix of heat, wind, and human despair. It was as if the elements themselves had turned against the city, conspiring to bring it to its knees. As the flames advanced, casting long, menacing shadows across the cityscape, a chilling question echoed in the hearts of Angelinos. Would this be the fire that finally consumed their beloved city? The uncertainty gnawed at them, a constant undercurrent of dread that made every moment feel like an eternity. Yet, amidst the chaos and destruction, there were glimmers of hope. Firefighters battled the blaze with unwavering determination, risking their lives to save others. Communities came together, offering support and solace to those who had lost everything. In the face of such overwhelming adversity, the spirit of Los Angeles shone through, a beacon of resilience and strength. As the flames began to subside, the daunting task of rebuilding lay ahead. But the people of Los Angeles were no strangers to hardship. With each brick laid and each tree planted, they would reclaim their city from the ashes, stronger and more united than ever before. The Santa Anas, those infamous winds that sweep down from the high desert, were back with a vengeance. Known for their dry, hot gusts, these winds have a notorious reputation for fanning the flames of destruction across Southern California. Dry, hot, and gusting up to 100 miles per hour, they turned the canyons and hillsides into wind tunnels, transforming ordinary fires into raging infernos. The landscape, already parched from months of drought, became a tinderbox, ready to ignite at the slightest spark. Embers, carried aloft by the fierce gusts, became airborne arsonists, igniting spot fires miles ahead of the main fire front. These embers, glowing like malevolent fireflies, danced through the air, landing on dry brush and rooftops, setting off new blazes in an instant. The wind was an unpredictable enemy, shifting direction without warning, whipping the flames into a frenzy one minute, and then dying down to an eerie whisper the next. This erratic behavior made it nearly impossible for firefighters to predict the fire's path, adding to the chaos and danger. Firefighters battling exhaustion and despair could only watch in frustration as their hard-won gains were erased in an instant by a sudden change in the wind. Each gust seemed to mock their efforts, undoing hours of grueling work in mere seconds. "It's like fighting a monster with 1,000 lungs," one exhausted fire captain remarked, his voice hoarse from smoke and fatigue. The relentless wind seemed to breathe new life into the flames, making the battle feel endless and unwinnable. Every time we think we've got it contained, the wind kicks up and it's off to the races again. The firefighters' determination was unwavering, but the wind's capricious nature made their task Herculean. The wind, it seemed, was not just an element of nature. It was a malevolent force, determined to turn the city into a smoldering ruin. Homes, businesses, and lives were at its mercy, as the flames, driven by the relentless gusts, consumed everything in their path. The battle against the wildfire was not just a fight against flames, but a struggle against the very breath of the earth itself. The evacuation orders came in waves, each one expanding the perimeter of danger. The initial alerts were met with disbelief, but as the reality of the situation set in, the urgency became palpable. Thousands fled their homes, some with only the clothes on their backs, their faces etched with fear and uncertainty. The hurried departure left little time for sentimentality. Cherished possessions were abandoned in the rush to escape the encroaching flames. Highways clogged with a desperate exodus, a slow-motion caravan of fear and loss. The roads, usually a symbol of freedom and movement, had become a bottleneck of despair, with vehicles inching forward in a seemingly endless line. Families huddled in shelters, their faces illuminated by the flickering blue light of television screens, anxiously awaiting news of their neighborhoods. The shelters, though a refuge, were filled with an air of uncertainty and anxiety, as people clung to hope and each other. The lucky ones had friends or relatives to take them in, but many faced the prospect of an uncertain future, their lives upended by the capricious whims of nature. The generosity of strangers and the kindness of communities provided some solace, but the road to recovery seemed daunting. For some, the evacuation was a matter of minutes, a frantic scramble to safety as flames licked at their heels. The speed of the fire's advance left little room for error, and the urgency of the situation was a stark reminder of nature's unpredictable fury. Others had more time, but the agonizing wait, the uncertainty of what awaited them upon their return, was its own kind of torment. The hours stretched into days, each moment filled with a mix of dread and hope, as they wondered if their homes would still be standing. The firestorm had not only consumed homes and businesses, it had devoured the sense of security that was the bedrock of their lives. The landscape, once familiar and comforting, was now a charred reminder of the fragility of existence. Rebuilding would take time, and the scars, both physical and emotional, would linger long after the flames had been extinguished. Against this inferno, firefighters fought with a courage that bordered on the superhuman. Working grueling hours in treacherous conditions, they risked their lives to save homes, businesses, and lives. Their faces, grimed with soot and sweat, were testaments to their unwavering dedication. But even their Herculean efforts seemed paltry in the face of such overwhelming force. Water bombers, their tanks filled with fire retardant, made endless runs, but the flames, fueled by the wind and the dry brush, seemed to regenerate as quickly as they were extinguished. "We're doing everything we can," said one fire chief, his voice weary but resolute. "But we're dealing with extreme fire behavior here. It was a battle against nature at its most unforgiving, and the outcome was far from certain." In the wake of the fierce winds and relentless fire, the landscape has been transformed. Homes, once filled with laughter and memories, now stand as charred remnants of the past. Families are left to sift through the ashes, searching for anything that might have survived the inferno. It's a scene of heartbreak and resilience, as the community comes together to support one another in this time of need. The road to recovery will be long and arduous, but the spirit of Los Angeles remains unbroken. In the face of devastating fires, many have lost their homes, their memories, and their sense of security. Yet, amidst the ashes, stories of resilience emerge. Communities come together, helping each other rebuild and recover. It's a testament to the human spirit's ability to endure and rise from the flames. Climate change is reshaping our world, and Los Angeles is no exception. The increasing frequency and intensity of wildfires are stark reminders of this new reality. As temperatures rise and weather patterns shift, we must adapt to this new normal and find ways to mitigate the impact of these changes. The history of fire in Los Angeles is long and complex. For decades, urban development has encroached on natural landscapes, often without regard for the fire risks. Neglect and poor land management have only exacerbated the problem, leaving communities vulnerable to the destructive power of wildfires. Despite the challenges, there is hope. Efforts to improve fire management, community preparedness, and environmental stewardship are gaining momentum. In the face of disaster, renewal is possible. It's a journey of learning and adapting, ensuring a safer and more resilient future for all.